Hi, I'm Nasrin, the designer behind Knit-A-Lie Patterns, and this is a sewing tutorial for my latest design, the Tehran trousers. In this video, I'll show you how to make the fly front, slash pockets, and a curved waistband with belt loops. Grab your pattern at knitaliepatterns.com. The link is in the description. And if you need help printing and assembling the pattern, watch this video. Let's get started. I'm using a wool polyester blend for these pants, but any light to medium weight fabric would work. I'm cutting the legs one layer at a time just because my fabric has stripes and I want to make sure the lines match perfectly at the side seams. For the darts, cut the notches first, then poke a pin at the tip of the dart and mark at the bad side of the fabric and draw the lines. Don't forget to cut the notches, especially the ones on the front waist, and the double notch on the waistband pieces that indicates the back seam. Cut the pockets from the main fabric, but for the pocket bags, you can use any lining fabric. Any lightweight, non-stretchy fabric would work. You also need 2 layers of fusible interfacing for each side of the waistband. Now to serge the pieces, you don't need to serge around the belt loop or the fly front, the waistbands, or the pocket bags. And for the pockets, you only need to serge this straight line, not the curve. Go ahead and serge all around the front and back legs. Let's start with the back darts. Fold it in half. Line up the notches, then poke the pin on the line, make sure it's poking out right on the line on the other side. Start stitching from the top, right on the line. And when you get to the tip, continue stitching off the fabric and make a long chain with the thread. You can tie a knot with the thread and cut the tail. Line up the back pieces, good sides touching. Pin the crotch seam and sew from the top to the end of the curve. Open the seams flat and give it a press. Now fold the darts towards the center and press them down. The crease line on the front starts from the middle notch on the waist to the center of the hem. Fold the front, bad side touching bad side. Line up the notches at the knee. And the hem should be folded in half. And press. Bring the fold line to the next notch beside it and pin. Now we're going to sew over the pleats, close to the waistline. You can also stitch close to the fold on the pleats for about 3 cm long to keep them flat. For the fly front zipper, I used a different method before in my other videos, but this time I'm going to use another method. I really recommend you watch them both and see which one is easier for you. Line up the front legs, good side touching good side. Line up the crotch seams and the fly. We want to sew from the crotch point going up and stop in front of this corner. Then backstitch and switch the stitch length to the biggest length and continue going all the way up to this notch. You can also mark the line if you want. Measure 1.5 centimeter from this corner, which is your seam allowance. Then connect that point to the notch on the waist. Stop here, backstitch, but do not cut the thread. Raise the stitch length. Then continue stitching on the line all the way to the top, and you don't need to backstitch at the top. Now open the fly and press. Now you're going to rip the stitches from the top to just before the back stitching. We only do these last steps just to create a perfect crease line on the fabric. Now, just for you to see the crease line better on the fabric, I'm going to mark them because it might be hard to see in the video, but you don't need to do this part. Now have the pants flat on the table, good side up, fold the left side down, open the fold on the right side. Now we want to draw another line 1 centimeter away from the crease line. Now we fold the fabric on the new line and press. Now you see when I place the left side on top, it hides 1 centimeter of the right side. Fold down the left side again. Place the zipper on the right side. Make sure the middle part is in front of the opening of the fly. And in case your zipper is longer and it's poking out from the top of the fly, don't worry about it. As long as the bottom part is lined up with the fly, you're good. Bring the fold line just beside the teeth on the zipper and pin. Now sew close to the fold. Now place the left side on top, and you see the crease line will be lined up with the notch on the right side. Pin it down. Now flip the left side. Now you can see how the fly is covering the zipper. Keep them flat and pin them together. Now flip and you're sewing beside the teeth on the zipper. Keep these pins on the fabric because you want to sew a curved line on the left side. Flip the pants. Now this is the side that you're going to sew on. Just follow the curve on the fly, start from the top and go below the middle part. And end the stitches at the crotch seam. Grab the fly piece, fold it in half, good side touching good side, pin and sew the side. Keep the top edge open. Now trim the seam allowance and flip it to the good side. You can also use a pin to poke the corners out. Just be very careful with the fabric. Press the seam flat first. Then pull the edges out and press it flat. Have the pants bad side up. Line up the straight side of the fly piece with the left side of the zipper. Line up the top with the waistline and the bottom is covering the zipper completely. Pin it down close to the edge. Now flip to the good side. Open the zipper. And you want to stitch right over the stitch line you already have here. Now trim this side of the fly that is poking out. Cut it right beside the zipper. And it will be hidden under the fly piece. We want to make a very short stitch line right here beside the fold line. And also here over the curve line. These two stitch lines catch the fly piece and keep it in its place. I cut 2 pieces of interfacing for the pocket opening, which are 2 centimeters wide, and I fused them on the back side of the fabric. Now grab your pocket bags. Line up these diagonal edges good side on good side. Pin and sew from the top parallel to this diagonal edge. Now fold the seam allowances towards the pocket bag. Now we want to sew close to the seam over the pockets, and we want to make sure we're catching the seam allowances at the back of the fabric. This is called understitching and makes the edge of the pocket very neat. Now grab the pocket pieces. Line them up good side on the good side with the pocket bags and pin. You're sewing just this line, just the curve. After sewing, I also serged them together too. Flip the pocket, press the seam, make sure the pocket is sitting flat under the pants. Now pin the top edge and the side. Now go ahead and sew close to the edge of the fabric, just to keep the pocket from sliding around. Now you can go ahead and sew the side seams. Good side up the front, touching good side up the back. Pin it down and sew. For the inseam, start in the middle, line up the crotch seams first and pin. Then continue pinning towards each hem. And then sew from one hem to the other hem. Let's make the belt loops. Fold it in half, pin, and sew across. Now press the seam flat. Trim the seam allowance down. Now use a safety pin and flip it to the good side. Cut the piece in 5 pieces. Each of them should be 9 centimeters or 3.5 inches. Make sure the seam in the middle of the belt loops is facing up. Place 2 of them on the front, right over the pleats. Then one goes right on the center back seam. And the other 2 go between the side seam and the dart. Sew over the belt loops 1 centimeter below the waistline. Now waistband. Let's fuse the pieces first. Bad side of the interfacing touching bad side of the pieces and press. One short piece goes on top of the one long piece. Now find these double notches on the pieces and line them up together. Pin and sew down. Press the seams flat. Now line them up good side on the good side. And sew the top edge. Now, as you see, one side of the waistband is longer than the other side. Have the waistband flat on the table the way that the longer side is sitting on the right side. Now fold the seam allowances up, pin them down. Now we want to sew over the seam allowances close to the middle seam. And it's better to have the good side of the piece facing up. And you can also stretch and pull the sides a little bit to get the seam flat. Now on this side of the waistband that you sewed the seam allowances on, you want to stitch 1.5 centimeter away from the edge, which is the seam allowance. Go ahead and trim the seams in the middle. Now fold the edge on the stitch line and press. First, line up the middle seam with the center back and pin. Then continue pinning towards the center front. The waistband meant to be 1.5 centimeter longer than the pants, and that's the seam allowance. If you like to get notified every time I release a new video, hit the subscribe button and press that bell icon next to it. Let's make a whole new wardrobe together. Thank you. Now fold the waistband right in the middle. Make sure to keep the seam allowances folded up. Now we want to sew this short edge right beside the fly on the pants, but you want to make sure not to catch the pants. Clip the corner and flip. Make sure the waist seam allowances is tucked inside the waistband. Now pin the folded edge the way that it's covering the stitch line on the waist. We want to sew right on the seam at the waistline. This is called stitch in the ditch. And you are catching the folded edge of the waistband on the other side. Now, go ahead and sew over the belt loops 1 centimeter below the waistline. Now fold the top edge 1 centimeter down and place it on the waistband. When you're sewing, it's better to change the stitch length to the smallest length and stitch close to the fold. The machine might struggle moving over the belt loops a little bit because it's very thick. Just try to go very slow and gently pull the fabric from the back just to help the machine a little bit. I hem the pants 3 centimeter and done. If you like to add a matching belt for your pants, like I did for the Belfast trousers, you can watch that video here and I'll put a link for you. Hope you liked my sewing techniques, but feel free to leave a comment if any part of the video was confusing for you. I'm more than happy to explain more. Thanks for watching. See you next time.